It's wonderful to be here with you today. As I said in the chat, it's a full moon in like an hour and a half. So it's feels like a extra auspicious time to gather and to discuss what we're going to discuss today. So let me know in the chat that you can hear me and see me and that you are here and ready to explore rest. So rest, rest, rest. I am curious. Thank you, Gary. I'm curious just, for yourself, or maybe you care to share, what comes up for you when you hear rest or think about rest? And so while those are coming in, I want to bring in this notion today that rest is not about like taking a nap or sleeping or slowing down. Those are certainly parts of rest and very restful and delicious. And yet, true deep rest is more than that. It can actually be a way of living and a spirit of kind of presence and ease that we can carry with us throughout our lives. So as we dive in today, take a moment to reflect, what does rest mean to you right now in your life? Because it might change. It also changes seasonally. Winter is a especially wonderful time to explore this concept. And then also, how would it feel to move through life with a spirit of restfulness? So I invite you to just kind of hold those as we explore and dive in today. And so some things that are being shared: silence and breath work, meditation, yes. So, and again, meditation, and we can talk about this at a different time. There's so many different styles and forms, and at the heart of, I believe, all of these different teachings and philosophies is really a tool to get us to that place of restfulness, to that place of beingness, where there's just here and now and the breath and the body and the present experience. And so that is the direct path to rest as kind of beingness. So holding those questions, expanding your perception of rest, that's where we're headed today. And hello, I'm Devon, and I am an Ayurvedic health advisor, an integrative health expert, and a holistic life coach. And I teach people how to align with nature's rhythms for deeper self-discovery, sustainable self-care, and a life with greater resilience, health, and joy. And certainly rest is a major, major factor in that. And in a culture that really glorifies busyness, rest often feels indulgent or impossible or shameful, or like it was for something for yesteryear, things our ancestors did when they had more space and time and less things coming at them at every second of the day. And it's not for us today with our lifestyle. And yet rest is one of the most natural and essential states that we can embody. So as I opened this with, it's more than just a nap or sleeping or slowing down. It really is a way of living and of going about things. We can do the exact same task with a spirit of restfulness or with a spirit of freneticism, or whatever the opposite of restfulness is to you, and they're going to be very different. So we can go through the exact same thing and come out the other end feeling rejuvenated or even just kind of neutral or the same, or we can go through the exact same thing and come out the other end feeling completely depleted and crazy and keyed up. So when we embody this state of restfulness, it really nourishes our resilience. When we're coming from a place of more freneticism and chaos and getting wrapped up in that glorification of busyness, we're really zapping our resilience. So coming at things from restfulness helps us to reconnect with calm and clarity and go through our life in a way that really honors us and that honors all of life. So it's this state of mind, a state of being. And again, I'm bringing this up. I mean, rest is important all the time, and I really felt like that it was important to talk about right now and in this heart of winter time when really the invitation from nature is to rest, to reorient ourselves to what rest means and to living from a state of restfulness. So both the two people talked about taking time for meditation. And so yeah, that present calm, fully engaged with what is happening in the moment, not rushing, not multitasking. It is a way for us to feel grounded and steady, for us to have the clarity and energy to make aligned choices. And then, like I said, to come through the other end of something with more energy or, the same versus depleted or just totally burnt out. Because when we're not in that state of restfulness, we're leaking energy. My partner and my father are outside right now fixing some piping issues that we have been for water pipes that we've been having for a long time. And so that's a wonderful way of thinking about it. Our energy is like the water running through the pipes, right? And so when we are leaking and not going about things in a restful nature, we're wasting a lot of energy, a lot of water. A water bill racks up. We're not happy. Resilience depleted. And when we're living in that state of restfulness, fostering resilience, there's a better ability to flow with life, to meet life's demands with greater ease. And again, culturally, we've been conditioned to resist it, and productivity is really glorified. And we have a lot of us, whether it's really conscious and we're aware of these beliefs, or they're like way back there and just kind of running the show and we're not really connected with them. We have a lot of really negative associations with rest. So if you're not aware of some of those that you're carrying around, I invite you to explore further because I can guarantee you that they are there, that they are there. That you have some beliefs deeply ingrained about going through life with a more rested attitude, about getting more rest for yourself, about pausing and taking breaks. So whether it's the mindset of rest or it's actually stopping to do that meditation, stopping to do that breath work, getting the sleep that you need, there are beliefs that are deeply, deeply in there. Perhaps you see it as lazy or unproductive or even selfish. And this narrative, which at InnerSpark and in my program, we refer to this as feminine shame or spiral shame, which is a phenomenon that, despite its name, impacts all of us, regardless of gender, physical anatomy. It impacts all of us in so many ways on a daily basis. And this shame is so ingrained, like I said, that many of us don't realize how much we're resisting rest until we are completely burnt out, until our lives, like we kind of stop one day and look around and realize like our lives are just not working. They're not nourishing us. Maybe the body is really acting up and there's physical health issues, perhaps, emotional and mental patterns that really aren't serving you. All of the above, because we're holistic beings and things aren't compartmentalized, right? When the body is speaking up, there's emotions and beliefs that are feeding that and vice versa. So this shame and this resistance towards rest, towards living in a way that is more spirally, as again we refer to it, is really at the root of so much of our dysfunction nowadays, so much of the burnout and the disease. It's disconnection from natural rhythms. And truly our bodies and minds and spirits need cycles of activity and stillness, doing and then being. And when we're living in that way, in that rhythm, on a daily basis and on a seasonal basis, we're just kind of naturally well. We're feeding resilience, we're feeding our vitality, we're plugged into the natural ways of doing things. When we are fighting that because of this deeply ingrained shame and resistance towards living in that way, and we could call rhythmic living restful living. It's the same thing. I'm using them synonymously. This kind of beingness. That's really the way to let go of the imbalance and this chronic stress and the disconnection and the health challenges and the burnout and all of these unnecessary ways that we're suffering nowadays. And it really is this collective phenomenon that just kind of keeps going. And it doesn't need to be this way, and it's really quite sad to witness. So rest is dynamic. If we think about this as a way of living, a way of being, a mindset where it's not static, it's like this dynamic thing where we're in rhythm, we're in a way of aligning with like our true needs and with nature. We see that it invites us to release the need to constantly do, achieve, or fix, because that's unnatural. Like today we have a full moon. That's that like full, vibrant, full on energy, right? Akin to summer. And like that happens just for a little blip, and then it's back into its waning cycle. We're not meant to sustain that. We're also not meant to sustain its opposite. We're always in this like, again, the water theme seems to really be here today. We're in that flow. And rest also invites us to slow down enough to notice, to feel, and to connect with ourselves and our environment. So if we're constantly going, we're missing things. We're missing what truly matters. And we're also missing the cues from our bodies and our minds that something is amiss. And then we override it and we keep going. And the pleas get louder and louder and louder until we just wake up one day and we're like, oh, why? Something is wrong. My body is failing me. Well, there've been some cues along the way, always talking to us. So how do we reclaim and live with a spirit of restfulness? Well, as I kind of alluded to earlier, it's really about um, coming back into rhythms on a daily and seasonal basis. So some simple ways to make rest a part of your daily rhythm include taking care of your essentials. Like the simplest things are the most profound. It doesn't need to be hard. It doesn't need to be crazy. Those essential, basic self-care needs that are, again, so overlooked these days. I'm talking about those just basic things and meeting them with regularity and rhythm, like sleep, eating, moving, pausing for some self-reflection, and some intentional use of the breath. And those are the 5 core practices that we teach in the InnerSpark method. And so from that, we create this daily foundation for ease and resilience and restfulness. And suddenly our days actually feel much more spacious and restful. Yet we're actually getting more meaningful things done. It's pretty wild, and it's extraordinary to have experienced it in my own life and then get to watch it in other people's lives when they're like, wow, who would have thought that regular sleep times, regular meal times, finding a way that I actually love to move my body and not viewing it as like a punishment or a requirement. All these simple things have transformed everything, healed from diseases, and shifted these lifelong mindsets. Because when we're, I'm going to go on a whole other tangent, when we're stuck in patterns of being and thinking and feeling, those are like really in there. So when we start to make some changes, we can start to see those Because often we're so missing them. We're tricking ourselves. We don't see, like, oh, I believe that. And that's how I've been living my life. And yet that's not true. And I don't want to live my life like that. And to have the stability to be able to see that, we need to create stability. We need to work on that foundation, that daily foundation. So back to building rest into your day, coming into rhythmic living. I have two other things I wanted to share. Release overscheduling. Let it go. Let go of the need to fill every moment of your day. Make space for maybe a little spontaneity, a little presence, a little rest, a little breath. Build those small pauses into your day, and I guarantee you that you'll actually become more productive. I used to fear that. I had every second of my day planned out. I had thought I had to be filling it with something. I had stuff to prove, I had stuff to do, and yet I really wasn't actually getting anything meaningful done. Well, maybe not nothing, but certainly the work and effort that I was putting in didn't match the output. So there's this, like, again, that like I talked about, this glorification of busyness and needing to do stuff and fill the schedule. And look at, like, are you doing that? And be honest with yourself, because you might be, and it's just become so normal and you don't see it because it's so, like, shellacked in there. It's like hardened itself and just like in there, part of things that you don't even see anymore. And look at what's motivating that. Yeah. So for me, it was like a lot of fear and a feeling like I needed to prove myself and earn, and then we can laugh at ourselves and move on. And then something that I think is a little uh, under discussed is the different types of rest. So, allowing yourself to feel and process emotions in particular, give yourself emotional rest and do so without judgment. So, using tools like journaling, movement, talking with a trusted friend or a coach can really help emotions to flow naturally. So, again, releasing some of that stuckness. And again, a lot of us think, like, oh, rest means stopping. How would that not add to stuckness? I have to keep going. And that's not true either. Simply not true. And if you're having a hard time believing that, ask yourself how what you're doing right now is working for you. So, to close for today, just really reiterating that rest isn't just something to do, it's actually a way of living and being. It's a very dynamic, rhythmic way of plugging into the rhythms and cycles within and around us at all times. Letting go of the resistance and bringing in the ease, that water, and really taking care of the pipes. And we could call that, in this example I'm giving, your energy and your practices, so that they're not leaking everywhere. So you're not wasting all that water. So this foundation, this daily foundation, is how we build resilience and clarity and the capacity to handle life's challenges and to also show up for all of life's joys. Life is dynamic. Life is full of all the things. I mean, I you all have been around for several decades now, like, you know what I'm talking about. And so how would it feel to show up for all that it brings with open arms and flowing with it? When we rest, we nourish our roots, and again, it's that daily foundation, those daily foundational practices that allow us to live from a more rested, present beingness mindset. There's greater intention with how we live and how we show up. And we're able to thrive, and not because we're doing more, but because we're being more present and more attuned and more connected. There's a greater depth. So, again, just holding those questions I asked at the beginning, I'll ask them again now. What does true rest look like for me right now? How can I bring the spirit of restfulness into my daily life? Especially looking at those 5 foundational practices, what might need a little bit of attention from you right now? Maybe it is actual sleep and rest. Maybe it's the way that you're feeding your body and your senses. It's not just about the food we put into our mouth when I'm talking about nourishment. Maybe it's how you're moving. Maybe it's some intentional breath, whether it's just working, focusing on breathing, or it's establishing a pranayama or breath exercise practice, or maybe it's the practice of self-reflection. And so what small step can I take today to honor my need for rest? Okie dokie. Rest is your birthright. So honor it, embrace it, and live with the spirit of restfulness as your guide, letting nature remind you of how that can be and how that can look. So thank you for joining me today. And I would love to continue the conversation with you inside of our community here, Naturally Resilient and Thriving. And of course, if you're ready to go deeper and to bring these really into your life and body and mind and emotions and all of it into a really deeply profound and intentional way, I invite you to explore the InnerSpark Method Everyday Rhythms program, where, among other things, we integrate rest as a foundational practice for resilience and vibrant health and joy. And you can learn more at theinnersparkmethod.com/everydayrhythms, or simply ask a question here in the community. And I will see you next time. And Kim, I experienced extreme burnout and it made me really value rest. Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. I've been there with you. And unfortunately, I imagine many of us here have also been there. And Gary, I fought the need for rest for decades and it took its toll. Yeah. And what a beautiful realization that you see that it's not working and that it took its toll, and an opportunity that you have now to practice a different way and to experience what life can be like in a different way. And this isn't about like judgment or one way of being and living is good and right and the other way is bad and wrong. It's all neutral. It all is just this experience that we're having. It's all cause and effect. When I do this, I get this. Do I like this? If yes, keep going. If no, try something else. And in that change of trying something else, we have a really wonderful opportunity to learn a lot about ourselves and life and to have a whole different experience. And when we take that judgment out, it happens much more quickly and it's more fun. It's like, oh, what can I do now? I had a life that looked like this and I didn't like some aspects, and so I'm going to do something else. And it's really fun to learn about ourselves and to come more close, come closer to ourselves as something bigger, as spirit, as whatever word resonates with you, but that bigger picture. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And you're very welcome. And I will see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.